If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Why make choices in your life based on judgments instead of on your awareness of what would create the life and living you desire? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm.
Hello. Welcome to the Inspired Choices Radio Show. I am your crazy host, Christine McIver. Tonight I'm being a little crazy. So whether you're listening live or in the replay, I hope you enjoyed this because it's just going to get a little crazy up in here. One of the most exciting, wonderful, generative things about the radio show oftentimes is the 5 minutes before we go live. So we are in the backstage, we are getting ready with the producers, and we are laughing and carrying on, and it's such a huge contribution. So it's the pre-show. And I'm wondering how much fun you can have with your pre-show for all of your creations. We're going to get into that tonight. We're going to take your questions. We're going to enjoy your comments. We're going to love to have you come and call in or to play in the back room, in the chat room. So you are listening to A2Zen.fm. If you've never been to the chat room, you're missing something. You're missing something pretty cool. So in the chat room, we have some amazing beings, and these beings actually are contributing to the show. They ask questions, they create the show, we laugh, we play, we have so much fun. So all you need to do is go to A2Zen.fm, click on the chat room button, pop in a name, and come and play. And we really appreciate you being there. So thank you, everyone who's in the chat room playing with me today. So today is actually Wednesday, March the 23rd, 2016, and I am located in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We've been having some beautiful spring weather, and then Mother Nature, she got a little mixed up because we've had snow. We've had snow for the past couple of days. It's like, really, that's an interesting creation, Mother Nature. But of course, you know, we live in Canada, so we've had snow even into the summertime, and that's not always fun, but it does happen. And I know that there's lots of places around the world that are having some interesting changes in weather, and I wonder how much that is actually the changes we've all been asking for showing up in completely different ways than we've ever expected. So today's show is how much lip service are you giving your creations? Lip service is something that all of us could identify with, I'm sure. And I wonder how much of us are actually giving our creations lip service without realizing we're actually doing that. Saying one thing, choosing another. So before we get deep dived into this conversation, I'd like to tell you a little bit about me. If you have never been on the show before, I am a possibilities coach. If you have been on the show before, just sit back, relax, enjoy my voice. So, Possibilities Coach, what I do is I work with other individuals and organizations to create more of what they desire to have in the world. I know that there's so much more available to us, that the universe is here, the universe has got our back, and desires for us to be joyful and happy and to have it all. I bring my toolbox of all sorts of tools. I'm an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator. I'm also a professionally trained coach. I work with businesses. I've been a human resources professional for over 20 years. I'm also an energy healer, a radio show host, producer, and the owner of A2Zen.fm. I create all sorts of different things in the world. I'm in the midst of creating a bunch of books that I'm so excited to tell you all about. And I'll tell you at the top of the hour, at the bottom of the hour, at the end of the hour, a brand new creation that's just being birthed that I'm stepping into. So what I do is I work with individuals and organizations to create more of what it is that they desire. There is nothing more generative than actually stepping into creating anything that we we absolutely yearn for. And that really gets my juices flowing when I can work with an individual or a company and see them bring all of the puzzle pieces together to flourish and to contribute to not only them, but all of those that they're going to then share those creations with. That, to me, is some of the most amazing days in my life. So if you would love to learn more about how I do this, and if that would be something that would be fun for you, please connect with me at inspiredchoices.ca. Use my website, or you can go to Christine at inspiredchoices.ca to send me an email. You can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and, of course, this radio station, A2Zen.fm. So you can find me all over. So tonight, how much lip service are you giving your creations? You talk and talk and talk and talk, and you say, I'm so excited, I have this amazing idea, and another, and then dead stop. Great. Now what? If all you do is talk about your creations, will your creations go mute on you? Are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? It's not hard, and it can be easy if you are willing. So how many, everybody put your hands up energetically, physically, how many of you have a lot of amazing creations that pop for you? And you talk about it for about 2 seconds in your own head, or you share it with somebody, or you start to create it, and you go, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, and then you stop. How many of us have these creations being contributed to us through our awareness, through playing with others, through listening to something, watching something, and no, not any, Julie. How many of us have these creations, and then it just goes to a dead stop? Yeah, I have had that going on for many, many years, and didn't really realize that I was actually giving my creations lip service. So Carol says, nope, not never. Not ever. Cool, Carol, you're just brilliant. So here's what I want to do tonight. What we're going to do is when we're talking about our creations, I want us to change it from creations to child. Okay, I want you to put a child in front of you, whether it's you as a child, one of your own children, somebody you're fond of, somebody else's child, it doesn't matter. But when we talk about creations tonight, we're going to bring up child. And we're going to look at this in a different way. This is just to tweak the perspective of it just a tiny little bit. So the creations that you are asking for, that you're desiring to have be more, what if they are actually standing in front of you trying to get your attention and you've got blinders on? So you've said to this creation / child, yeah, I'd love to play with you. I'd like to create with you. Oh my gosh, this would be so fun to bring this into the world. And then you ignore that creation. You ignore that child. And you just put it on the back burner. Now, there may be a lot of people that are going to maybe resist what I'm going to say in a little bit, but I'm going to say it. One of the bodies of work that I work with is Access Consciousness, and it's an amazing body of work that has been such a huge contribution at changing things very quickly and with total ease. And if you're not aware of this body of work, please go to accessconsciousness.com. There is a great deal of information there. Google it. You'll see information on YouTube, all over the place. So one of these bodies of work, one of the tools in Access Consciousness is the light and the heavy tool, right? So the light and heavy tool, basically what that teaches us is if it's a yes or a no. So you know when you have a creation and you want to start working with it, and then you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure what to do. Well, this tool can often be a contribution to you to seeing whether it is that is now the time? Do I want to move forward? Is this when I create this? Is this when I create this? I have, for instance, 3 books that I'm simultaneously looking at and have been talking about and have been excited about. And I know that I gave one of them a lot of lip service. So one of them is organically unfolding. And the third one, it just wasn't the time, the energy to put into it. But the one that was created very, very quickly, I know I gave it lip service. So I had all of these things. And sometimes I would look at them, sometimes I wouldn't, sometimes I would give them an excuse. But what I find a lot of people do with the light and heavy tool through Access, which is an amazing tool, is they actually use it against themselves. And they actually end up giving their creations a shitload of lip service with that tool. So instead of what this is what I've observed, and I just want to ask you guys to just, barriers down, expand out. I want you to tap into, have you ever done this? Or are you doing this now? So something comes up, or you look at something, or you look at your to-do list, or what you want to create, or you're watching what somebody else is creating, and you're like, yeah, but I would like to, I have that book that I want to write. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, well, let me use the light and heavy tool. And then you use light and heavy tool, and you go, oh, it's heavy. Okay, forget it. And you just put it aside. You put it aside. Well, what if when you get a heavy, when you get a no, what if you didn't stop there? Now, this kind of becomes a two-prong at this point. So oftentimes I hear people say it like this, it's not light for me, so I'm not going to do it now. It's not light. I'm going to wait till it pops. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? If an idea, if a creation comes to you, people, would you please remember this one thing? Would you please remember that when it comes to you, it's because it would like to come through you. It's yours for the taking. It's yours for the creating. It's yours for the birthing, if you will choose it. But if you sit on it too long, if you ignore it, like ignoring a child, eventually it will die. Eventually someone will come and take that creation away. Like, the people in the suits would come and take away your child if you were ignoring it. So when you get a no, thank you, Keisha, when you get a no, what if you didn't stop at the no? What if you asked another question? Okay, cool, I got a no. Now, some people, as I said, this becomes a two-prong. So this is what oftentimes people will say. Okay, well, let me do it again. Maybe I messed it up. Maybe, wait. Let me ask it again. And so we ask it 16 times and we keep getting a no. You're not asking the same question. You're going to ask another question. And the idea of asking a question is so that you can get some additional awareness. So perhaps the creation wants to change, wants to morph in a different way, wants a different collaborator with you. What if it's time to look at it, be with it, dance with it, play with it, add something to it, take something away, that if you're only looking at it in this one particular box that you originally saw it in, that's why you're getting a no. Would you be willing to ask another additional unique as in not the damn same question, would you be willing to ask another question? All of your creations, and I have learned this over the last few years, that all of your creations have their own energy. And each and every one of those creations, in the energy, you can communicate with it. Now, if you've never heard this before, you're going to think I'm whacked. Cool. I'm glad you think I'm whacked. But what if I'm right? What if you were to play with this, right? The creators of all sorts of amazing things that we now enjoy and take for granted in the world, like planes and computers and the telephone and all sorts of things. You know what? They were willing to look at it from a different perspective. So what if you started to step in and look at your creations from a different perspective and stopped giving it lip service? Lip service as in, yeah, I'm going to do that, and then you ignore it. What if your lover gave you lip service? Yeah, baby, I want to make love to you. Yeah, baby, and then he leaves. Or, yeah, lover, oh, baby, I want to have you, and then you take off. How long would that lover stick around, right? How much lip service are you giving yourself in your own creations, whether it's personally, in your business, with your relationships, with your body, with anything and everything? Would you be willing to drop your barriers and spend just 5 minutes a day with each of your creations? 5 minutes a day, giving it some loving and some nurturing, and asking a new question so that possibly that creation can communicate with you. Okay, this is getting juicy up in here. Just saying. I'm excited because I'm getting downloads and I can hear you all thinking really hard. I love it. I don't know what voice this is. Anyways, I told you it was going to get crazy up in here. So we are going to go to a commercial. And our first commercial break of the evening. And when we get back, we're going to dive deeper into this. I would love to have your questions about this so we can see what else can unfold for all of us regarding giving our lip service, giving our creations lip service. So you are listening to Christine McIver on Inspired Choices Radio here on A to Zen.fm, and we will be back right after this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions, or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right, everyone. Welcome. So we're back, Inspired Choices Radio tonight, and we are talking about how much lip service are you giving your creations? So what is lip service to you? What does that look like to you? What is lip service? If somebody's giving you lip service, what are they saying? I just got the vision of, you take your car, your vehicle into your mechanic, and they're like, yeah, this is going on, and we'll get it working. No problem, Christine. We'll get it working. We'll get it ready for you in no time at all. And then you're back 2 hours later, 3 hours later, when they said your car would be ready, and no, it's not ready. And yeah, Christine, no problem. We will absolutely get that ready for you, and we'll have it ready. And they're just constantly saying, yeah, soon, right? Do you guys agree? That's basically lip service. I'll get to you eventually. What's the real underlying message there? You're not really that important. You're not a priority. So if you're not a priority, would you stay with that mechanic? Would you stay with that lover? Would you actually stay with a business? Would you stay with an employer? Would you stay with a friendship? Now, you know what, guys? Okay. Wow, this is really heavy, all of a sudden. So everything this is bringing up for everyone, would you be willing to let it go? Would you be willing to just let that ease, bring in a little bit of ease here? You know, it's not always easy to say, hey, you know what? I'm not a priority here, so I'm going to choose somewhere else. I'm not a priority in this person's life. I'm not a priority to my employer. I feel like they're just asking me to go away because I'm bothering them. That's not easy. That's not easy when someone is giving us that message, is it? To really acknowledge, hey, I'm not a priority. And even though I care for this person, and Lori Larson did an amazing show today. Oh my gosh. Lori Larson is a radio show host here on A2Zen.fm about caring. It was phenomenal. Thank you, Lori, so much for the contribution. And if someone is actually giving you that message, you know, you can choose something greater for you. And it doesn't mean you have to actually detach from them, separate from them. But having them in your life perhaps isn't the greatest contribution for you. So how does this have anything to do with tonight's show about creations? Well, let me tell you. If you're giving your creation lip service, how much of the energy of that creation is saying, you know what? He's not giving me the attention. I'm not a priority for him. She doesn't really want to create me. She just keeps saying all this stuff and doesn't follow through. How much of the energy of that creation will actually leave and go to someone else? Because here's the thing. Here's what I know. There's all sorts of creations in the world. And each and every one of us, if we are willing to drop our barriers and to receive awareness and ask questions, ask the universe for contributions, it's actually given to many of us, right? It's kind of like hanging out there, and you can choose it. But if you choose it and then you give it lip service, you ignore it, someone else will choose it because it desires to be birthed. It desires to be created. I know I've had things that I've desired to create and I've talked about creating, and I didn't give it the nourishing, the love, attention, I didn't bring in the assistance to create whatever it is, whether it's an editor or it's a producer or it's an artist. If we're talking about a book, we're talking about a publicist or a promoter, whatever it is. If I didn't bring those people in, then someone else took it. And I have seen my creations that I was very aware of wanted to come through me. I have seen other people bring it to fruition. Did I get mad? Did I go like, who does she think she is? Why has he got my creation? I thought of that. That's where people come back and say, that's why people do the whole, trademarks and everything, because they don't want somebody else to steal it. Well, what would it be like in the world if we actually didn't require trademarks because we actually created it with our own energy? We created it with our own attention and through asking questions. And yes, Julie, you can change this. Everyone that's listening right now, if you have something that you're aware of that's popping in your universe that you desire to bring to fruition, you can change it right now. Start communicating with that creation and start asking it questions. Now, you may get in using the light and heavy tool that maybe now's not the time. But what if you still communicated with it even if you get now's not the time? There's a creation that I'm working with another amazing person in my life, and the creation has changed. And I've been disappointed. I was disappointed, and we talked about it. And it's changing. And in talking about it, in just keep being connected to it and talking about it together, and this individual was talking about to it, and I've been talking to it, we started to get the information. So your creations cannot communicate with you if you're not giving them the attention, the nourishing, the nurturing, the love, the just some space with it. So what if you're somebody that loves to go out in nature? What if you went for a walk with your creations? Carol Glover is in the chat room. I wonder if she would call in, because I think that's probably something that she does. She just popped into my head. Carol, would you be willing to call in? You know, what if you took your creations into the bathtub with you at night? What if you poured yourself a glass of wine and you talked to your creations and you brought them forward and you really started to ask them some questions? So some of the questions that you could be asking your creation is, or maybe even just start out if you've been ignoring them, hey, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I have been ignoring you. And I really do desire to play with you and create with you. I'm sorry I've been ignoring you. You know, one of the things that I do, and check and see if that works for you, is I actually call the energy up by saying it 3 times. So let's say I wanted to talk to my book. So this is not a big surprise, but this is new news that today I actually signed the contract to have my book brought to fruition, and that book is Be the Dominatrix of Your Life. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited, everyone, because I have been desiring, she has been talking to me, and I've had the awareness that if I don't do this, someone else is going to hear her more than I hear her. So I signed the contract. We're moving forward. I'm going to be working with Sherry L.R. Taylor, who's an amazing writing coach and an amazing woman that has a way with the words, which I love. And so we are actually starting to bring that to fruition. So in speaking to that book, I would just say, hi, Dominatrix book. Hi, Dominatrix book. Hello, hello, hello. And I would just get the energy. Oh my gosh, it's amazing when I do that. And I just get the energy of it. And I just ask, what do you desire today? How can I contribute to you? Who could contribute to you? How much attention, money, time do you desire? When would you like me to play with you? For some people, I know they might get out a pad of paper and they may start to doodle. And all of a sudden, before you know it, they're writing something. They're getting an idea that comes through them. As I said, you may take your creations for a walk. Patrina is in the chat room. Patrina is also an author. I wonder how it is that she communicates to her creations. So anyone in the chat room, we're going to go for our next break, but anyone in the chat room, I would love for you to jump online after the break, and I would love to hear how you communicate with your creations so that we can bring as many ideas forth for all the listeners here tonight and in the future to see how they can move out of the lip service and totally into dancing and moving their creations forward. So you are listening to Inspired Choices Radio with your host, Christine McIver, here on A2Zen.fm, and we'll be back right after this commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program today, please call toll-free in the U.S. 815-880-8255, TALK, or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us. Our Skype name is a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Okay. Thank you for sticking around. You are here tonight with Inspired Choices Radio. Whether you're listening live on the replay, I'm really grateful that you're here. And we're talking tonight about, are you giving your creations lip service? And this is all about what we're doing when we're getting all of these creative ideas and yet we're not moving forward. Are we stepping into, well, it's not light, and then we go into ignoring it? Or are we just completely not doing anything at all? So one of the questions I had is, or what I was talking about before break was, how can you talk to your creations and when can you talk to your creations? So a dear friend of mine, Carol Glover, is on the line. Thank you for joining tonight, Carol.
My pleasure.
I love the giggle. You know what that giggle actually meant, you guys? Oh, she totally roped me into this. Didn't even ask me in advance. You're welcome.
Yes. One time I listened live.
I got her. So if you don't know Carol, Carol is absolutely a nature girl, big time. She has this amazing cottage in Northern Ontario, and I was so grateful we went there together to birth one of our creations, which is kind of ironic that we're having this conversation right now. And and when we were there, you just took me around and showed me the beauty of all of that up there. You just love so much being there. And so I was wondering, when you're out with your long walks that you do through the bush or along the water, are you talking to your creations then?
Yeah, and I've been busted for it sometimes too.
Tell me about that.
Because, sometimes I get so connected to the creations that I miss what's around me, which is actually trying to contribute even more, but I go into my head almost too much.
Is that when you nearly got confronted by a bear or fell into a ravine?
Well, yeah, that's one of those times.
Oops. Well, how did you lose your leg, Carol? Well, it's kind of a long story.
I was in my head and I lost my leg.
Interesting. So you get so involved with your creation that you lose the space. Okay, so that's a very cool thing. So hang on, something's coming up. Mm-hmm. So how much do we do that we get so involved that we lose the present? You know, it's like this polar opposites. We're either completely ignoring it, or we're so deeply into it that we're ignoring the present around us, which could be giving us more information.
Yeah, I think for me that happens because I'll get excited about whatever it is I'm creating, and I follow the flow of it, and then there's a moment where I go into how am I going to do that? How am I going to make that work? and then I start doing the mechanics of it, that's when I get too far in my head and I lose the inspirations, and then it can die a quick death that way too.
Okay, say that again, but say it a little differently, because I don't know, I must have tapped into everybody else because I just totally lost you.
So, okay, you have that first spark of creation.
Yes.
And then you get a wave of information that feeds it.
Yeah.
So it's a good burning flame now. And then I go into the mechanics of it. Like how am I going to do that? How do I meet that? And if I do that, what can I do next? And then how is that going to work with that? And I get so wrapped up in the mechanics of it that that big wave of information and inspiration actually just sort of goes, oh, she's paying attention to something else now, I'll just go away. And I lose that contribution that was riding the wave in.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I say it a little different way. That's why I wasn't quite following you. For me, it's like instead of dancing with, when the music comes on and you just start dancing and you don't look at your feet and you're just dancing, and you know that saying, like, dance like nobody's watching, right? And you're just dancing like a fool. Like, you're just up there, like, you're just giving it, your bum's out, you're just like crazy all over the place, right? And you're in so much yummy energy and playfulness. So you're dancing with your creation like that. And then you start to look down at your feet and you try to get it right.
Yeah.
And you start looking at your feet, and then the energy is just dies. And it's nearly like we're choking the creation, where it really needs to have that dance, that play, that yumminess, that sexual energy, and start to really have that rise up, and have it be so bountiful that it's nearly, you couldn't ignore it if you tried. And then you can go into the hows and the steps and the processes and the mechanics, as you say.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that was really helpful when I was writing my first book, and now this other one that I'm working on as well. But I just write. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to end up as a blog post or if it'll be part of this book, or I have no idea. I'm just in the point now where I just allow myself to write. I'll make something of it maybe later. So
nice.
That's been allowing me to ride that wave a little bit better and a little bit longer. And the mechanics don't matter so much anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you're amazing at physically writing, and I'm in the process of writing a chapter, like literally writing it. And it's new for me. It's really stretching my muscle. But one of the other creations for me is talking. I talk, and that's easy for me. So for me to talk about a subject, and that's how the book, the Dominatrix book, for the most part, is going to be birthed, is through talking. Whatever I'm doing, whether it's a radio show or it's something else, that's how I create. And for me, when I'm doing it that way, Carol, I don't go into the mechanics then.
Yeah, well, that's the way it worked when we were up at my cottage too, right?
Yeah.
We'd been talking about this creation for probably almost years at that point. And then we just kind of sat down one evening and just started, or one day, and we just started to blurt stuff out. And I'm like, wait a minute, we got to record this. And it was done in 40 minutes or something like that.
It was very fast. And FYI, there was no wine involved. It would have been done.
No, not even a little.
No, it would have been done in 15 if there was wine involved. But yeah, it was literally through our talking.
Yes.
And it was so much fun. So you don't have to do it a certain way. So what if everyone right now come out of your head, out of your conclusions, and you just started to you just started to play with it and talk to it, okay? So let's all just make that commitment to if you desire to create more, whatever your creations are, would you be willing to play, to dance, to get the energy of that up even more with your creations and come out of your how-tos? And here's something that works for me. If you've got those mechanics, I don't know if you do this, Carol, if you've got these mechanics screaming at you at the how-tos, just write them down. Like, write them down and kind of put them aside. Because your brain, sometimes you can't shut your brain up until you do that. And then you can go back to the dance, the playfulness, and all of that.
Yeah. And there are also some things that it's just fun to create, whether it goes anywhere or not. Like my the fishing lure bracelets that I was making. I would take apart my fishing lures that wouldn't work. And I would turn them into bracelets because they were pretty.
Right. And what was that doing for you, other creations?
Who knows? And it didn't matter.
Right. But my point is that if we will follow the energy of our creations and talk to them and play with them and dance with them, they can be contributing to something else. Like, you know how much I love making pies, right?
Yeah.
When I do that creates something else for me. It's literally getting into quote unquote creative energy. What are you giggling about? Are you asking for a pie right now?
Well, I'm thinking, okay, you make the pie, I'll give it lip service and tongue service and tooth service and and tummy service.
Okay, I am keeping one for you. This time, I'm making pies tomorrow. I'm keeping one for you. Okay, in that case, you better give my pie lip service. I'm just saying. Okay, I am going to bring... No, that's awesome. I love it. I am going to bring Patrina on as well. Patrina, thanks for joining this crazy last-minute, spur-of-the-moment call. Are you there, darling?
Hey, I'm here.
Awesome. So you know what? Thank you for joining us. One of the great things is just that laughter, Carol, that you and I just got into. If you would start to laugh and play with your creations or with anything, you start to take the pressure off, because that's another thing that can really kill your creations. Is you say you want to do something and then you start projecting at it so much that it cannot give you information. So if you will lighten up, have a little bit of laughter and play, it can start to shift a little bit more. So, Patrina, for you, what is it about your creations? How do you speak to your creations and play with your creations? You're an amazing author. Tell all of our listeners how you do it.
Thank you. Well, for me, I do talk to my creations, not so much in words. I usually can really perceive it. Like with my books, a lot of times it was really easy for me to perceive the energy of that which wanted to be written, that which was asking to come to life. And sometimes I would sit and write and it would come out and it would flow really easily. And then other times I would sit and there was nothing. Or I often noticed that as soon as I started to judge it, it would feel really contracted and really twisted, and I would start to get a headache, and I really could perceive the change in my body when I was writing from a forced place.
Right.
This last one specifically interestingly, the book is called Releasing Judgment. And I really judged this one the most. So
isn't that funny?
It was great. So the chapter that I wrote is actually a letter to judgment. It's like a breakup letter. And it just kind of came all of a sudden in my head. It was like, dear judgment, we're breaking up. And I was like, oh, a letter. Awesome. And so I sat down right away and a whole bunch came out right off the top. And then it just stopped. And so I walked away from my computer. And then when I went back and kept going, I judged that it was too short. And then I started judging, I need to put information. It can't just be a letter. And then as I started to force things in there that didn't want to be created, I really could perceive the change in my body. I really started to feel heavy and twisted and contracted and stressed. And it was like the creation was It was screaming. It was like, what are you doing?
Right.
This is not what I want to be.
So do you ask your creations other questions?
Yeah, so I often would sit down and and say, hey, I hear you. Like, I can really perceive you. I hear you. I get the energy of you. Can you please help me? Like, what words can we find to get it out of, my brain and onto the well, not paper, computer screen.
Right.
What words can we use to convey this energy? Like, and a lot of times what would help me get out of judgment of it is to just like spill it all out. However it was going to, like, I'd never tried to get the sentence perfect the first time. So I would just like blurt it all out on paper. Whatever was coming out of my head, I would just let my fingers go. And then I would look at it and like change it. It's almost like a dance. It's like, okay, no, this here, and then this here, and then this here, and then this here, and then moving it around. And so I often would often say to my chapters, I really can perceive you, like, for you. How can we can you help me find the words? Like, what words would best convey this? Yeah.
Well, what just came up for me is like, what if we all communicated with our creations in many different ways without conclusion or without judgment, right? Communicating with your creations can be in so many different ways. So I'm really glad thank you both for joining me spur of the moment without any warning. My friends, they're so amazing. And Keisha and Rhonda, you're both on the line. You're both massive creators. If you have another way, I would love for you to join us and tell us as well. But what if each and every one of us started to play with communicating, dancing, playing, nurturing, just connecting with our creations? I'm going to say on a daily basis, and it doesn't have to be more than just having it come to mind and say, hi, hi, and asking it some questions, just being with the energy of it. It might even be, imagining it like, oh, Carol, you remember when you first talked about your being an author and having a book, and you talked about this on one of your past shows where I said, okay, Carol, I want you to hold the book, have the book right in front of you. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was an amazing thing.
Yeah, so I literally had her go into a physical, I wanted her to physically be with it, right? Yeah, like feel the wood decking under my feet, feel the shade under the awning, feel like incredibly sensory experience of it. Right, and that's just another way to get in touch with it. I've talked about it many times. I desire to be on stage, and I've talked about this with Rhonda a number of times, that I can see myself. I see myself on stage. It's a wooden stage. There's a big, beautiful curtain in behind. There's all these people, and there's all these chairs, but they're not sitting. They're standing, and I can just see them. They're off, and I see different people, like all of my amazing friends. I see you guys all there, and it's like, oh my God, it's right there. So when you can actually step into it, communicate with it, like, holy shit, how much more does it then want to be with you? Mm-hmm. If that's your lover, if that's your child, if that's anything, if you're more engaged with it, how much more will it want to be engaged with you? Yeah, can I add something to that, Christine? I think to that is honoring your creation when you hear the whispers, because so often, I don't know about anybody else, but so often I'm busy doing, whatever, the dishes, or like, okay, let's not joke around, I don't do dishes that often. But I'm at work, or I'm engaged in some other, mindless activity, and I'll get this like really quick awareness of something that would like to be created, or a sentence that will go in my chapter or something, and I've noticed that a lot of times I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I'll remember that, and then I don't. And so honoring your creation when it speaks to you, like get a pen and write it down, or text, put it in a memo in your phone right away. The whispers, those whispers sometimes are so fast and they're so fleeting, that I feel like if I don't
get them down on paper, or I don't, even speak into your phone, like give yourself a voice message or something.
Voice note, yeah.
And really acknowledge those very quick, small whispers when your creation is whispering to you while you're, doing the dishes or whatever, right. and jot them down and capture them right away. And I think I feel like as I do that, the more I do that, the more they come.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I just got, a lot of people I know, including myself, have been waking up in the middle of the night several times. And it just kind of came to me like, how much are our creations able to communicate with us? Because we're not in our busyness, and they can come to us and talk to us. A couple of things, we're getting down to the wire. This happens every time. It's so funny. The other couple of things, would you be willing to put your money where your mouth is with your creations? Would you be willing to say, look, if this is what I really desire, I'm willing to put the money up. I'm willing to invest in my creation so it can contribute to me. Would you be willing to really look at what is it going to take and really ask some questions about that money, time, adding somebody to that creation to assist with it? Would you be willing to seriously get real with yourself? Because whatever is required, your creation will leave if you're not willing to look at it. Now, this is not from a should or a push, but if you're not willing to look at what's required for your creations, how can it come to fruition? So I really strongly feel and know that this is extremely important, that we have to stop giving the creations lip service or they will be gone, and start to move on them. And you may have, like me, several creations popping at you at the same time. Write them down, write them down, write them down. Talk to them. Communicate with them. Follow the energy. Ask them every day, do you want me to contribute to today? Is today the day? How much time do you require? You can get awareness by asking these questions. But if you're sitting there and you're doing nothing and you're going into the boo-hoo and poor me's and all of that crap, and you're allowing anything or everything to stop you, then you've made a choice. You can always make another choice by communicating with your creations continuously. And if you really don't want to do them, then allow yourself to say, no, thank you, and thank you for coming, but I'm not interested, and get it off your back so you're not guilting yourself, which is actually stopping you from contributing to the creations that you do desire to play with. Okay, so we've got just a minute and a half left here. I do want to let everybody know, next week I am going to have the amazing Juna Guder on my radio show, and the show is going to be called Tight and Loose with Your Business. So that should be interesting. I'm actually co-hosting Juna here in Toronto May 6th, 7th, and 8th for the 3-day body class. So that is going to be phenomenal. On April the 3rd, if you're in Ontario, the Toronto area, and you would, or anywhere, and you'd like to come, I have a bars class coming up on April the 3rd. And then I'm having the amazing Rhonda Burns is going to be in Toronto playing with me for a week. I cannot wait. And we're going to have a great big share. We would love to have lots of you come out and meet Rhonda in person. We might even have wine after. And that is going to be on Tuesday, April the 12th. And then the following Tuesday, April the 19th, Danielle Carter is going to be here, and we're going to have a great big share with her as well. And in between their visits, I am going to be hosting a pod here at my home on April the 15th through the 18th, 60-inch, beautiful big screen TV. We're going to be doing body processes while we live stream the foundation class with Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here from Vancouver. So thank you, everyone. Please connect with me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. If you still have any questions about this, I would love to have a conversation with you and see what we can shift and create even more for you. So no matter what you're doing in the world, please communicate with your beautiful body, communicate with your business, and by all means, communicate with the creations desiring to come through you. Have an amazing week, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on A2Zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.